All right, so I'm gonna
Fuck
introduce
you, nigga.
this next conversation. Welcome to the panel. I'm gonna introduce this next conversation, and then we're gonna go into more relationship stuff after that. But Michelle Obama is now fighting divorce rumors. Here's a little bit of a preview of what was going on and why people are saying that she's fighting divorce rumors.
Blasting rumors that her marriage is on the rocks, essentially, with the 61-year-old on this podcast with TV star Sophia Bush, Work in Progress, it's called, saying she's making what she calls big girl decisions about her life and how she wants to spend her time.
This year, people were, they couldn't even fathom that I was making a choice for myself, that they had to assume that my husband and I are divorcing. This couldn't be a grown woman just making a set of decisions for herself, right?
Right.
She also said a few other things, and let me play a couple clips throughout this. Here's some other things that she said on the podcast.
That's what society does to us. We start actually finally like going, what am I doing? Who am I doing this for? And if it doesn't fit into the sort of stereotype of what people think we should do, then it gets labeled as something negative and horrible.
And then Obama obviously appeared on the panel, and this is some of the things that he was saying in reference to Michelle Obama, because obviously there's a lot of conversation around the fact that she was not on board 100% with him running for president, and she complained a lot about the problems that came along with being the first lady inside of the White House. And this is what he had to say on the panel a little bit about it.
Look, I was in a deep deficit with my wife, so I have been trying to dig myself out of that hole by doing occasionally fun things.
So, in a nutshell, Michelle Obama is fighting off divorce rumors from a lot of people speculating. Obviously, we know that a lot of people said that he was possibly talking to Jennifer Aniston and so on and so forth. So I want to start with Shannon. What are your thoughts on this whole dynamic between her going on a podcast tour, fighting off the divorce rumors, and then also Obama saying that he has to kind of make up for lost time by doing fun things and acquiescing over into his wife and kind of giving into that?
I think when you are in a position as a man with influence, that women got to understand that there's a lot that come with it. Same thing if you were a man dealing with a woman who is in politics or with some type of status and influence, you got to understand that there's a lot that come with that. Maybe he just didn't, I don't know the full story, so I can't really say what's going on, but maybe he just didn't have enough balance, work-life balance, being president and being with the wife. So I guess, he's trying to reconcile his marriage by, taking out on dates, maybe spending quality time, the love languages, whether you believe in them or not, but, just trying to, make up for lost time. But as far as Michelle going on this whole podcast tour, I don't know. It just seemed like the podcast tour is the move nowadays. Everybody does it. So I can't really, in my opinion, sometimes it could be for clout. Sometimes it could be because the person stayed quiet for so long and they trying to finally address all the rumors. I think it's a lot of factors that we just don't know, but that's just my personal opinion. That's all I can really give on that.
That's cool.
Barack, that nigga sound like me. And that and that's a fucking problem. That's a problem, bro. I know that tone. Barack, he got caught in some coochie. Barack got caught in some coochie. The nigga was in the doghouse. They probably was talking about getting a divorce, but they know they really can't do that right now. And that's just what it was. He got caught in some coochie, cuz. That's all it was, bro. That's all it was. I've been there before. I know the tone. He's scared to really talk about it because he trying to get over it. Yeah, nigga, come on, man. I all us that heard that tone in our uncle voice before, cuz that nigga, he's just trying to get back in good graces.
Molly, what's your thoughts on this?
Did she confirm that they're not? Was that her way of saying that they're not getting a divorce?
Yeah, she's basically saying that she's not getting a divorce. It's not her thing people don't have to speculate about whether or not she's getting a divorce. She's just doing her thing, kind of becoming independent. She got her own thoughts, and she's kind of exploring her, her life and what she wants to do, I guess, so to speak.
Okay, because it just seems like she's broadcasted that she has not really been satisfied in her situation with him when he was president, and it does not really, I don't know. I don't really follow them. I'm not even gonna lie. I really don't know. I feel like her podcast is maybe they need another revenue stream.
Hell no.
Whether they're getting a divorce or not, they
See,
could be trying to do damage control because she wasn't at the funeral with him when he was talking to Trump. It was a bunch of things going on, so I understand, but it is the media too. They just make up stuff. I don't know what to believe with a lot of things anymore.
honestly, bro, Michelle is finding out that she ain't what the fuck she thought she was.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Listen, she found it out in real time, bro. There comes a time in every woman's life when she want to get ready to leave that nigga, and the stuff that she been talking about doing, she started doing it. Like, oh, I'm gonna start a podcast, but now you go out and start a podcast, and now your shit flopping. Oh, I want to go out and do this, and then you do that, and then you find out you can't do this neither. So that's when you got to really look at your nigga, be like, man, I hate this nigga, but like I ain't shit without him. And that's what Michelle at. And Barack, he just supporting her weak ass podcast, and trying to get back in good graces. But what Barack don't know, if her podcast were to shoot to the top, the divorce would have came out. Divorce would have came out.
Do y'all think that it is difficult for women that may be smart, or maybe they think that they would have been successful even without the guy, but they would have got us ultimately even more successful? Do you think that it's difficult for women that are intelligent or could be successful also? Do you think that it's more difficult for them to submit or to kind of play that role in the background, or to be the stay-at-home wife or whatever? Do y'all think that it's more difficult for them to do that, or do you think that ultimately they still have this desire in themselves to where they want to break out and still show the world, or still show or find their space or find their way to ultimately make their mark on the world? Why do y'all think that it's difficult for some women to kind of play that role or play that position when they are, you know what I'm saying, with a very, very powerful guy, or a guy that is super, super successful? I mean, I seen what was her name? LeBron James' wife, Savannah James. She has started a podcast, stuff like that. Do you think that it's boredom, or do you think that they actually believe that, it's important for them to also make their way and make a mark also?
I think it's all of the above. I think it's all of those above. I think some of them are bored. I think some of them are, well, I have something to say to. I'm not just, a wife, when there's nothing wrong with being just a wife. And some of them actually are jealous of their husband's success. Like, I truly think Jada Pinkett is jealous of her husband's success. I truly think Gabrielle Union is another one, right? But there's also something there as well. All of those women are married to the same kind of man, very beta. Okay, Barack, very beta. Or, Will Smith, very beta. Dwayne, we know. So at the end of the day, I think there's a certain type of man they can get that off with. We know. There's a certain type of man they can get that off with. And they know the kind of man that they have, and they take advantage of it, and it's allowed, because if this right here would never be Donald Trump, okay, not even Bill Clinton, right?
Let me follow up on that, Mika. Let me ask you a follow-up question. And again, anybody can jump in at any time too. Do you think, because this is a very good conversation, do you believe that it is necessary for a guy to, in your words, quote unquote, have a little bit more beta, or a lot? I would frame it a little differently. I would say that maybe they're a lot more open to negotiate, or be open to maybe concede a little bit more so that the woman can feel like she's, you know what I'm saying, she has a bigger role or whatever. Do you think that this also contributes to the divorces of powerful men? Because, like, for example, you use Donald Trump as an example, but Donald Trump is, you know, in a lot of people's eyes, very alpha. But at the same time, he has had multiple divorces with women. And maybe once they get to a certain point, he don't feel as though it's necessary to keep them around because maybe it becomes too problematic, you know what I'm saying, for them to still be in that type of relationship with him. Do you think that men that are more alpha, quote unquote alpha, are much more likely to get divorced if they dealing with a woman that doesn't know how to play her position?
I definitely think that men that are alpha are, you know, the type that, yeah, I love you, I want you to stay, but I'm not about to force you to stay, and I'm not about to beg you to stay, because there's a purpose. To me, I see it as they have a purpose that's way bigger than that, right?
So can strong men in that, you know, and again, I want anybody to say whatever they want to say. Can strong men endure with strong women or strong, you know, headstrong women for a long period of time, or will ultimately resort in divorce? Do you need more of a woman that is not projecting themselves to be strong to be able to be with a guy that is very, very strong?
You can't, Anton. But the thing is, the woman is suffering from being too close, but being far enough away. And what I mean by that is, she close enough to get the earnings of your hard work, but she not close enough to see the hard work that goes into it. So then she naturally begins to build up jealousy and resentment because you make your job look easy, and now she thinks she can do it, if not better than you, because you allow her to stand that close to you while you was doing
Your
it.
phone in time.
So now she think that, man, I can do what he doing, and now she thinks she can do better than you.
I
So
don't know. That seems like a mindset that's taught, though, right? Like you have to be taught that, because in what universe would a woman want to compete with that, right?
But
Like you,
because it comes with their independence, Mika. You got
and that's the whole mindset that Michelle had, because in that statement she said something about that. She said, oh, it can't be just that I'm a grown woman and I can think independently. You cannot think independently. You're in a marriage. They will tell you that quickly, right? They will tell you quick, oh, well, you can't do this, you're in a marriage. But as soon as they want to do something, I'm my own woman. I'm independent from my. So now you get to divorce yourself when you feel like it, but the man don't ever get to divorce himself when he feel like it.
Bro, she think that she can pop it like Barack can pop it if she were to get to his level or some level close to his. It's an illusion, because you really don't know how hard your nigga working while you sleep, while you in the bed.
I think they know. I think they know personally. I don't think that there's any like me personally. I think that there's always going to be built up resentment from certain women, and I don't think that this is just singular to Michelle Obama. I think that there's a lot of women that have the same mindset, and that either they want some level of independence to be able to show the world that they are good also, or it kind of becomes a competition. And over a period of time, no matter how successful he is, no matter how great your family is, no matter how much money y'all make, I think that there's always going to be resentment, because it is difficult for two headstrong people to exist in the same space. Yeah. Over time, when a woman, in my opinion, when a woman gets too comfortable, she builds up some level of resentment towards the guy that she's with, no matter how successful he becomes.
And on top of, like, and Carrie, she alluded to this one episode, like, they think because we do something we like, when we away, we not working. I done been there. I done been in the studio for 8 hours today, and Sarah think I got the easiest job in the world.
Can I intervene real quick? I gotta this is my birthday present to Slimmy.
Happy birthday, Slimmy.
Quinn, you the man. Hey, you the man,
We already know why. Lord Jesus. She came in first.
I thought you were for the flash, my boy.
Oh, what up, baby? What up,
Hey,
Jill? How you feel?
good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Y'all done made Slimmy get off camera.
Just start, my friends just start FaceTiming me like, oh, look, everybody's still trying to contact me. I appreciate you for pulling up though, Kim. You feel me?
Just wanted to make sure I said happy birthday in person.
Oh,
Yeah, I like that.
that's amazing. I do have something to say about this though, because I think it's one thing. I think it's one thing that we overlooking. This is what happens when you get two alpha males together. You know, they just get the button heads. That's just
Alpha
the
male.
nature of things.
Why you say alpha male, Slimmy?
So rude. That's so rude.
It's my Michael, ain't it?
You know what happened with like the Michael's just starting to come out. It's Michael could only be contained for so long. No, come back.
I just trying to come to the right, man.
I'm not participating in this, Slimmy.
No, but for real, no, I do agree with the sentiments that were said. I do think that this is what happens when a woman is secretly in competition with her man.
Yeah.
And now it starts to come out years later. You know, all the bullshit that she didn't like, all the things that had her fed up. She's able to voice that. She's able to speak it. She's using that podcast. She's on podcast tour. You know, and she's showing her frustrations. And now it's crazy because Obama got to speak a certain way, and he looking kind of. I ain't gonna lie, 2K, you right, man. He was sounding kind of shook.
Yeah.
You know, I always thought this was an alpha male.
You
He
got
don't sound like one though. He don't
So
sound like one in that.
what made him an alpha male in your eyes?
He a leader.
No, I don't see anything that wouldn't let me think that he wasn't an alpha male. I never saw anything that until like the bathroom stuff. You know, like while he was in office, I always thought he was a stand-up guy. You know,
I
and then like
guy. I mean, I get a stand-up guy. I get a nice guy. I don't get alpha male.
Definitely that. He pulls strings. He like Steph Curry.
I don't see anything prior to that. I didn't see nothing that showed me he was a beta male.
Well, see,
and now it's like kind of exuding off of him. Say that again.
And I said the reason why I asked because there's a difference in what women see and in what men see. That's why I just wanted to know like what made him an alpha male in your eyes, because what we see now is what I always saw.
You think so? I didn't see that.
Yeah, is what I always saw.
Mika, listen, if you ever read Barack Obama memoir, I think
I got both of them. I got the letters from my father.
But he talked extensively about how he had to prove to Michelle, like that was the last person he had to prove to that he was ready to be the president. Everybody else believed in him but her.
But you know who he didn't have to prove it to? The mentor that told him, and the white woman he was engaged to before Michelle.
Yep. Michelle did not want him to be on that type of pedestal, bro. It's kind of like she was trying to like stop his dreams on low key.
But she knew he wanted to be president when she got with him, so it doesn't make sense.
That's my entire point.
So none of this ever makes sense. So like
she knew. So it's like it's that's why I said this is what I always saw, because this was his path already. He had a mentor that was actually putting him there. That was in politics.
Oh, you saying
a bloodline too?
I'm saying yes.
Mika, you saying you saw Michelle Obama as being this way, not so much as Barack.
There. I have both of the books.
Michelle
I understand his upbringing, and so when you look at it all and you put it all together, that is Barack Obama the entire way. Whatever he presents himself as for politics is for politics. It's like an entertainer that presents themselves as
when he met Michelle, she was more successful than Barack at the
time. Do we have any Michelle advocates on the panel?
Got you.
I'm not for or against her. I
No one laughed. Good
I
job.
kind of see why she thinks she can be on his level, especially because
Cause she used to be.
his whole political career, even with this whole Democratic situation with Kamala, that hearing that you could possibly be the president or you should run for president, I don't see why she wouldn't be thinking she's just as good as him because she's been being praised the entire time.
Mm,
And I
mm.
think he is beta because no alpha male is going to be able to be with an alpha female. It don't work like that.
I don't think he has a choice.
But to be with her,
I don't think he has a choice. Some relationships are so public that you kind of gotta still make it work. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
got to go the extra mile.
And then you all got to remember too. This might have been like an arrangement type of
It
thing too.
is. He was
No,
So then
married
you
to that
like,
white
so
woman.
that's why
I mean,
that's
he
why
was
I
engaged to
almost
that white woman.
no,
no,
but
I don't believe that.
that's why I don't want
What you
to. That's
mean?
why I
Hold on,
don't want
wait,
to
wait,
say
wait,
he's
hold on,
not
hold
an
on,
alpha
Fleming.
male
Anton said
because
he
it.
don't believe it when he wrote it himself,
Mhm.
and you can literally go look it up. They got news articles, newspaper. They were getting
I don't
engaged.
believe that.
They were engaged.
I don't believe that, Mika.
Well,
So
but
essentially, you're saying the man is lying himself because it's in his book.
I
The
don't
man.
believe that it was arranged.
Oh, you talking about that? Okay,
I
no,
don't
I
believe
do
that
because
marriage.
he's running in the Democratic Party. He's running as a black man, and since he's running as that, the 92% are not going to vote for you with a white woman. It's not happening.
Oh, I believe that they make strategic business decisions, but that's one of the reasons why I also said that I think that they have to stay together. I don't think it's listen, when you are that big, when you are that significant, when you have that much power, even when you, especially when you're talking about politically, um, what they do resonate within the Democratic Party. And I don't, want to get into the politics of it, but I think that it's a lot of people that are interdependent on them in order for them to be successful, even when it comes to them going and doing speeches or stomping on the campaign trail and all of that stuff. I don't think that it's just as simple as them saying, I don't want to deal with her no more because she a headache. That type of you can do that when you're a regular person. You can't do that as a president of the United States of America. Even when it comes to his legacy, I don't think that that's something that they consider. Now, that's not to say that they are actually, in my opinion, getting a divorce or anything, but I do think that she undermines him. I think that some of the rhetoric that she has, she doesn't have to say. She don't have to go on her podcast and say, "Yeah, I wasn't really for him running for president. Yeah, I didn't want to do so, and he had to go and talk to my brother." I think that some things could be kept behind closed doors, and it ruins his reputation. But she can get away with it because I don't think that he has the option of to divorce her like that. I mean, that would be that's catastrophic to his image if he was to ever get a divorce. There's no way he could ever get a divorce. But that's just my opinion. So I think that type of power dynamic could be reserved for regular people or people that's not so public, but that can't happen for the president, former president of the United States of America. So I don't know.
You're saying a divorce can't happen with a president of the United States?
It can't happen for Barack.
So y'all say an alpha can't be with a alpha woman, and I heard someone say that Bill Clinton was considered alpha. What would you consider Hillary?
Yeah, that's that.
The
She's
person he
definitely
needed to be with in order to get to where he needed to be in politics.
I think Hillary runs the show, to be honest.
So
Hillary does a lot in the background.
I
A
don't
lot.
believe that either.
So they're both
Oh,
alphas, but
I don't
Barack
believe
can't
that
be
either.
alpha.
oh no,
I
that's
think Bill
definitely
Clinton
true.
is the beta, to be honest.
His when they did a whole I guess it's a documentary or whatever, they were talking about how when he met her on campus and everything, how they were talking about how she can help get him to certain levels and all this other stuff. I'm gonna keep that out, but she she definitely was instrumental in a lot of
Yeah, a
Bill
lot
Clinton.
of women are instrumental in men's success, but I don't think that that you can
I
necessarily.
don't think Michelle is instrumental in none of Barack's success.
Oh, I absolutely think that
I don't think so, especially with
100%.
I
Listen,
don't
if
think so.
Barack Obama was married to a white woman, if Obama was married to even a lighter skinned woman, I don't think that he has the level of success that he has, and it resonates.
Right, but when you say instrumental, though, I mean like actually doing work behind the scenes, like doing work. I don't think she did any of that. We're
But
talking about,
what work do you
appealing to
have
the
to?
public, but
The main work that you have to do is to get the person elected. That's where the success comes from. I believe 100% that she plays a role, even from an image perspective, on whether or not he got elected. 100%. Absolutely. Black women love Michelle Obama. They love Michelle Obama. She sell
right.
out tours. She do arenas. She don't do coffee shops. She do arenas.
She do arenas now, afterwards.
Yes, Kim went to one.
Because if that's the case, then
But that was
why isn't this podcast doing the numbers that it should do with the 92%?
I don't think that listen, we talking about two different things. I think that it's two different venues. You can't sell the type of books that she sell and it resonate with women. If you go to any of these arenas, you go and look at any of the footage, it is flooded with women. White women and black women love Michelle Obama. That's just a fact.
But
I
if
don't
they love her
necessarily
so
care
much,
for.
they like
I
her
don't
books,
necessarily
they
care
come to
for
her
her
talk.
politically.
Why won't they listen to this podcast?
You can make that claim for a
Men
lot of
listening to
people.
that
I don't
shit.
think that it always translates across different mediums. And just because you're successful at one thing, that it automatically transfers into being success on another thing. However, Kamala Harris got over 70 million votes. I don't believe that Kamala Harris would have a successful podcast. Just because she got a bunch of votes doesn't necessarily mean that she'd be successful in every single arena. I don't think that it transfers to every single thing that you do. I see basketball players. I see people that are popular on Instagram or they got a huge following on other platforms. That doesn't necessarily transfer into long form content. Maybe she's not good as a podcaster, but it's much easier for you to be able to sell a book that is also assisted and people are helping you write that book. When you got to talk and you standing on, you know what I'm saying? That's much different than giving a speech that somebody wrote for you.
So then essentially it's not her that they like. They like the idea of her because
Somebody said it in the chat. We love Dwayne Wade as a basketball player. One of the best small forwards of all time. Dwayne Wade on the basketball court can sell out a fucking arena. He is one of the most dynamic players of all time, but Dwayne Wade's podcasts suck. He can sell out basketball arenas, but he can't get people to listen to his podcast.
but
It doesn't
Dwayne is
always
playing
translate.
basketball though, Anton. He's
Huh?
actually playing basketball. She's not actually writing the book.
But you're missing it.
Do you
I
know
don't think
Michelle
that
that
it
bad?
automatically transfer just because you're popular, that automatically means that you're going to be successful at whatever it is that you touch.
I'll say this, like I read her book, I went to the tour that she was doing. I was more interested in her because of her position.
And
And
that
now that she's not in it, the podcast doesn't seem like it could be interesting in any way.
that's
See?
why I said I think they like the idea of her and not actually her.
I'll give you another example. I know women that bought her book, but they don't listen to podcasts.
So that's what I'm saying, Anton. I get what you're saying. I'm saying though, they like the idea of her because they bought all of this stuff, and then when they actually got to hear her speak, they were like, nah.
No, they still showed up at her arena tours and they went and heard her speak and they still liked her.
They heard her
They just
speak
don't
from
listen to
a
podcasts.
speech writer, but this is her authentic self. This is her talking. There's no speech writers. There's nobody there to assist. It's just her talking.
I don't believe that. I believe that she's incredible. You can't get 50 million people to follow you on Instagram. I don't care whether you on the left or the right and not say that you're not popular as hell.
I didn't say she wasn't popular. What I'm saying is I think people like the idea of her. I don't know necessarily if they actually like her,
What's the idea of her?
meaning like what she represents, right? Nobody really liked Kamala. Nobody likes her. But I think the 92% liked what it would have represented.
Okay.
There's nobody that really thinks nobody really likes Kamala. Like I'm sorry.